morning, everyone. Thank you, Corey, for the kind introduction. In today's presentation, I will talk about bioequivalence approaches for nitrosamine impacted generic drug applications, along with the case studies. This is my disclaimer. To begin with, I will start with the background and bioequivalence approaches for drug products impacted by nitrosamine impurities, followed by case studies, and will wrap up with a summary. To begin with, since 2018, several commonly prescribed drug products have been found to contain levels of nitrosamine impurities at unacceptable limits, with some classified as probable human carcinogens. This nitrosamine issue has impacted a wide range of drug products across various dosage forms, including both new drug applications and abbreviated new drug applications, NDAs, being the majority. To mitigate the risk of nitrosamine impurities, the industry may need to take various approaches, but not limited to changes such as change in API, drug product manufacturing process, and change in the formulation by changing the amount or type of excipient. The FDA has developed an alternative BE approach specifically for reformulated drugs products of nitrosamine impacted applications. This approach is outlined in section called Bioequivalence Studies for Reformulated Products of the Guidance for Industry, Control of Nitrosamine Impurities in Human Drugs, finalized in September 2024. I will call this guidance as nitrosamine guidance. As Dr. Ray pointed out, the recommendation in this guidance is based on the research conducted by FDA in collaboration with external researchers, which indicated that the addition of certain antioxidants or pH modifiers to the formulations may significantly inhibit nitrosamine formation. Notably, the incorporation of small amount of 4 antioxidants, ascorbic acid, alpha-tocopherol, propyl glycerate, or cysteine, had no significant effect on the permeability of BCS class 3 model drugs and did not affect intestinal transporter permeability. Activities. Please note that this alternative BE approach is not applicable to narrow therapeutic index drugs, sublingual, buccal, or orally disintegrating dosage forms. This table summarizes the bioequivalence data recommended to support formulation changes under various scenarios based on the recommendations in the nitrosamine guidance. In general, when the applicants reformulate by using one of the antioxidant studied in FDA research or a pH modifier at a level not more than 10 milligram per dose or maximum daily exposure, whichever is lower, it is recommended to submit comparative dissolution data on the pre and post change products in quality control, QC, dissolution medium, and multimedia of pH 1.2, 4.5, and 6.8. This applies to IR, solid oral, or oral suspension dosage forms containing BCS class 1, 2, and 3 drugs. For scenarios beyond these, additional in vitro bridging studies or in vivo studies may be needed. These cases will be evaluated on a case-by-case by the agency. Now we will go through 4 case studies. In the first case study, which is related to an approved ANDA for an immediate release capsule available in 3 strengths to control the risk of nitrosamine impurity, the applicant proposed change in the grade and amount of the filler, as well as removal of the glidant, which led to significant reduction in the fill weight of the drug product. To support these changes, the applicant proposed to submit dissolution data on the pre-change versus post-change test product in QC medium only. The agency determined that there is no addition of antioxidant or pH modifier. Therefore, the alternative bioequivalence approach recommended in the nitrosamine guidance is not applicable in this case. Per SUPAC IR guidance, removal of glidant constitutes a level 3 change. And per the product-specific guidance for this drug product, a FED-BE study is recommended on the highest strength and the lower strengths are eligible for the waiver. Based on the principles in the SUPAC IR guidance and the recommendations in the PSG, the applicant was recommended to conduct FED-BE study on the highest strength and dissolution data comparing the pre-change versus post-change test products in QC medium for all 3 strengths. This case study too is related to an immediate release tablet dosage form, which is an approved ANDA available in 2 strengths. In this case, to mitigate the risk of nitrosamine impurity, the applicant proposed to add an antioxidant and accordingly adjust the level of filler microcrystalline cellulose to maintain the constant tablet weight. Similar to case 1, in this case also the applicant proposed to submit only QC dissolution data for pre-change and post-change test products. Based on the information available to the agency regarding the solubility, a definitive determination could not be made whether the drug substance belongs to BCS class 3 or 4. Proposed antioxidant was one of the antioxidants studied in FDA research. The proposed amount was less than 10 milligram per day, and the proposed level was within the maximum daily intake levels in FDA-approved drug products for adults, but it exceeded the level for pediatrics for similar context of use. Based on the agency's evaluation, the applicant was asked to confirm that there are no other changes such as manufacturing site, process, etc. Submit dissolution data in QC and multimedia for each strength for pre and post-change test products. Solubility data as per the recommendations in M9 BCS guidance to demonstrate high solubility of the drug substance used in the test product. If high solubility is not demonstrated, submission of additional data is required to demonstrate that the antioxidant at the proposed level in the post-change test product does not impact the absorption of drug substance as compared to pre-change test product. This data can be based on the results of the studies such as validated IVIVC, PBPK modeling, or any other studies as appropriate. Justification data to support the safety of the antioxidant at the proposed level in pediatric population. In case study 3, which is a delayed release capsule, it's also an approved ANDA. It's available in multiple strengths. The applicant proposed to add an antioxidant, a pH adjuster, and accordingly reduce the weight of sugar spheres to keep the approved capsule weight. In this particular case, in addition to submitting the dissolution data, the applicant proposed to conduct CACO2 study to prove that antioxidant is not expected to have an impact on API absorption. Agency determined that the drug substance belongs to BCS class 3. The proposed antioxidant is one of the antioxidants studied in FDA research. The proposed amount is acceptable. In terms of the formulation design, delayed release formulation consists of an IR drug layer and enteric coating layer. The antioxidant is added to immediate release layer only, and the change in amount of sugar spheres falls under level 1 change. There are no other changes to the composition or manufacturing process. Therefore, based on the totality of evidence, it was determined that the risk of change in drug absorption by antioxidant in the IR drug layer is very low. Therefore, submission of CACO2 permeability study is not needed. And the same was communicated to the applicant. In addition to providing the dissolution data in QC media, the applicant was recommended to provide dissolution data in multimedia of pH 1.2, 4.5, and 6.8. This last case study is related to approved ANDA for fixed dose combination drug product containing API A as IR formulation and API B as extended release. In this case, the applicant proposed multiple changes, mainly 4 changes: addition of an additional purification step for API A, addition of an antioxidant, change in processing solvent used during granulation, and amount of non-release controlling excipients used in the extended release part. And applicant asked agency about the type of data needed to support these changes. The agency determined that the proposed type of antioxidant and its amount are acceptable. Both the APIs belong to BCS class 3. The change in type of processing solvent as well as amount of non-release controlling excipients was considered a level 3 change. Therefore, in this particular case, the applicant was requested to conduct a single dose in vivo fasting BE study comparing the highest strength of the reformulated test product versus reference standard, submission of dissolution data for pre-change versus post-change test products for all the strengths in QC and multimedia. To summarize my presentation, to apply an alternative B approach in bridging the drug product changes, it is crucial to thoroughly evaluate the physiochemical properties of the drug substance, level of the changes, and formulation release mechanism. I'd like to thank Dr. Bing, Dr. Honglin, Dr. Rong, Office of Bioequivalence, nitrosamine working group members, and the divisions of bioequivalence assessment teams who assess these inquiries. Thank you.